Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Good Business Africa podcast, a platform that is designed to have conversations around what it means to be a good business, and not just a good business, but a good business in Africa. Because I believe that Africa is our business. And today we have a guest. His name is Brian, and he's going to give you his credentials. But basically, the kind of conversations we're having today have to do with technology, and not just technology, but technology for good. Brian, karibu sana.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sebastian, for having me on this podcast.
Yeah, for guys who are watching,
Yeah.
please just give an introduction of yourself and
Yeah.
what you do, and from which organization you are.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Hi, everyone out there. My name is Brian Nyagol. I always say I'm an electrical engineer by profession and a software engineer by passion and practice. I work at Davis and Shirtliff, and I currently lead the sustainability division as a group manager for the division. And that is why I'm here today. And I'm glad that I'm having this conversation with you guys today.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you mentioned you're an electrical engineer. I'm one of those guys who studied it but never got to practice it.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that I meet people who are actually now practicing on a
Mhm.
day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
But just going back to DNS and
Yeah.
what it is that you do,
Mhm.
the one thing that stands out on your website is your 75-year commitment plan to
Yeah.
improve lives. Can you
Yes.
tell us something about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Davis and Shirtliff is one of the oldest companies here in Kenya, started in 1946.
Yeah.
And I think it has lived the test of time.
Okay.
The company has grown in very strong principles. And one of the things that our chairman cares about is not just the profit,
Yeah.
but he has a value that says people before profit.
Okay.
And that is something that he's been able to do ever since he started leading the organization.
Yeah.
And marking these many years of this commitment just means that we are, sort of like rebuilding up our commitment towards empowering people.
Yeah.
And because we know that we exist in a very critical industry, that is water and energy.
Yeah.
And so we think that many other companies are doing very great things in different things. Other people are empowering women, other people are empowering orphans or people with education. And we think that our position in water and energy is our strongest, and we want to, build a root into it.
Yeah.
And so the commitment is becoming bigger. We have a couple of things that we have in line to ensure that we're able to improve people's lives further using these two things, water and energy solutions.
Okay. People before profit. When you think of ESG conversations and sustainability conversations in general,
Yeah.
they touch on people, profit, and planet.
Yeah.
How easy is it to kind of focus on the people, like kind of rearranging that dynamic so that you put people first?
Yeah, actually, just to people is closely related to purpose, and that's why I would say that actually our chairman only says it purpose before profit. Sorry, but purpose is very close to people. Like for him, empowering people's lives is really his main goal.
Okay.
Companies as big as that could have many ways of spending their money, but the extra money. But you see, if he says, I want to make sure that someone somewhere in the rural Africa has access to clean water and light or energy, and not just energy, but sustainable energy that can be there, like solar, and not just any form of energy. So for businesses, it's normally a tricky balance between where do I draw the line? For how long can I keep empowering people's lives? But I think that it all comes back to you. If from my own perspective, is if you invest in people, because any business does not function without the customers.
True.
And these customers are not just the people that buy, but the people that benefit from those products that people buy.
Okay.
So if a school is buying maybe a water treatment plant, the school is the customer, but who are actually the benefits? People are benefiting is the students, the parents of those students who are bringing them to school. So that is really how we look at it. We don't just invest in it because we think it will one day come back to business, but it's one and the same thing. You can't do one without the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From that perspective, just staying on the people aspect of things. In most cases, when businesses, and you've just seen it from the answer you've given, when you talk about people, it's usually the stakeholders, the outside stakeholders, the beneficiaries, the customers, the investors. If we turn that lens and focus on the people now within, and I see how passionate you are about your chairman's vision, how easy is it to translate that passion among team members in the organization?
Yeah, I must say one of the reasons why this is my 10th year in Davis and Shirtliff.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why I loved working there, the very moment I started working there in 2015, was how well the vision was defined.
Okay.
As an intern, I knew what the companies
you got in as an
achieve.
intern?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, and at that level, I got in during a season we call planning season.
Okay.
And in planning season is where we come together with the department, set out what the department is going to do the following year, and all the departments come up with those plans, and it all comes to one single business plan for the company.
Okay.
And I felt like if I am an intern and I know what the company wants to achieve next year, it was such a compelling time for me, because I felt this is where I want to be, and I want to learn more about this company. I want to be here. I want to see how things are done. And so I must say that this really trickles down very nicely from management level. No.
From a water perspective, trickling down.
The vision trickles down. Yeah, I think the vision does trickle down very well.
Yeah.
And that's why you say, if I'm not just saying about a chairman because problem in management, but I think this exists even at the very down towards the other team members who are also helping in executing these visions.
Yeah.
They understand it. They understand our values. They understand why we exist and why we do certain things. And that is really how the system is designed. Okay. Communication is very practical, very open, and we ensure that every person in the organization contributes towards achieving that vision.
Okay. So this conversation is being had on the backbone of the just concluded Kenya ESG Awards, where DNS, Davis and Shirtliff, emerged the winner in the Innovation and Technology for Good.
Yeah.
First of all, even without focusing on what that is, what does that award kind of signify for you guys as DNS?
Yeah, it's a very exciting award, because it not just only tells us that we need to do more, but it shows us that we are doing something.
Yeah.
Every journey starts with a step, and this for us is a sign that we are doing something good. And what does it mean? That we need to do more. Yeah. We need to do much more. We need to multiply what we're doing by 10, because like I said, it doesn't just mean business for us. It also means there's a purpose that why we are doing it, and we want to just make sure that is very, very clearly labeled, that Davis and Shirtliff, beyond doing XYZ, they are committed to doing, empowering people's lives through water and energy solutions. We want that to get there out there. Okay. And so it means for us, it's an encouragement to continue doing what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah. So if we just to kind of break down, because when you talk about innovation and technology, from an everyday person's perspective, when they look at you, they're like, but you just drill water, but you just erect solar backup systems. Yeah. What would you say are some of the specific things that kind of touch on the innovation and technology aspect? Yeah. And especially from a point of good, where now you're touching people's lives. Are there examples you can share?
Yeah, Sebastian, my personal belief is that technology itself is not always a solution.
Yeah.
The solutions are always there, but technology comes in to make them more efficient, faster, lessen the time that you can use to do those kind of things. Let me give you an example. Yeah. If a farmer in Chemi village in Gilgil, where I once did some research, wants to plant vegetables, sukuma wiki, and they have a river in the village and they want to get water to the farm. Yeah. How can they do it? Many ways. They can go with buckets, fetch water, and bring it back up. They can put in a pump. They can just maybe different types of pumps, whether it's an electric pump or a diesel pump or a solar pump. So why is it that using a solar pump is better than actually going down and fetching water by yourself using buckets? One, it saves time. Yeah. Number two, it protects the environment. Instead of using something like a diesel pump or a petrol pump, you're using solar, which is a renewable energy. Yes. So you're saving the environment. Number two, you are ensuring that you can get water at any given time. Yeah. And the solar pump, as long as the sun is there, it doesn't get tired. True. So you get farming. So the technology there is a solar pump, and that is just making work easy. Releasing more time for this person to do some other things instead of spending the whole day fetching water.
Fetching water in buckets.
So that I think that that example just tells me that technology itself just comes in to just release us from our burdens.
Yeah, it provides the how.
Exactly.
You already know what you want to do, but now the tech kind of just provides the how. it's good that you're given that Gilgil example, but is there like a specific example of maybe a community or a space or a group of people who you feel like this story kind of captures the vision that was shared with me when I was an intern and for the 10 years that I've been there? Because for most people, the relationship they have with DNS is what they see on the billboard.
Yes.
Or when your cars are passing, they're like, oh, there's a Shirtliff. But they don't know what impactful stories exist. So maybe if there's one you can share with us.
Yeah. So fortunately, I carried with me a report here that talks about, this is our Improving Lives report for 2024.
Okay.
And this report just shows what we've been able to do in just 1 year.
Okay.
And I just want to give you the highlights so that you can also, just understand on what's happening in 2024.
Okay.
We carried out 124 projects across the country, benefiting about 284,000 people. And I just want to pick an example that I think is really essential.
Okay.
So there's this project we did, and we did this in partnership with Brigham Foundation,
Okay.
A borehole solarization project in a primary school in Kitui. And this is called St. Veronica Guiliani Primary School. And this is about 150 kilometers away from Nairobi, all the way in Kitui. And this partnership with Brigham Foundation was very, very essential because Brigham has, wants to improve people's lives, but we have the technology, they have the willingness and, some money to put into it.
Yeah.
So we become a very important partner in executing this kind of a project.
Yeah.
And when we install these solutions and we are able to understand that what we've installed is not just a piece of hardware, but it's a piece of hardware that is making sure that children who are in that school who would not previously get clean water, even wash their hands after visiting the toilets, now have something they can look up to. If they didn't have clean drinking water, then that borehole solution that is pumping water can be able to get water from there. It can be purified and they can have drinking water right at school.
Yeah.
Actually, most kids in schools who probably do not have access to water, it's a really big problem because it's beyond just food.
Yeah.
Water is life. And some people say you can actually survive on water, even for some time without having any food. But I look at this, I look at this, the 400 students in this school having water at the comfort of their school compound. And just funny story, when we used to be in high school, and we would walk like 5 kilometers to go and take a bath in a river because there was no water in school in some periods. And sometimes maybe there was, we used to have like pumps pumping water from that river, but if they break down, we have to go ourselves to the river to
also you'd go like as
a whole group, as a whole school.
Okay.
Yeah. And I really pity people who are planting sugarcane around the school because we used to eat them. But yeah, so having water at the comfort of the school compound is essential, not just because it gives the students ability to just stay to drink clean water. Look at the food, the cooking in the school, the washing, the drinking. So I think it's really important. And this school has 400 students, right, who are benefiting from that solution, and for that really means a lot. Yeah.
Which basically means indirectly you're impacting 400 families.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then now there's an extension of, if they were sick, the financial burden that would go beyond just the school borders is crazy.
Yeah.
As a company, I know you've mentioned the specific location of that, but as a company generally, how do you identify like specific areas where you say this particular place will give us the most output or the biggest impact if we worked on a project here? I know this one was informed by your collaboration with Brigham Foundation, but generally as DNS, how do you pick a location that you're going to run your specific project?
Yeah, I guess your question is also like just maybe homing into how do we determine where to put impact?
Yes.
Or where do we think impact is most felt?
Yes.
So our approach in determining areas where we do our projects is based on application. So people in those regions or the people who are facing those kind of problems with their representatives apply on our website. And when they apply, we have...
And your website is?
Yeah, davisandshirtliff.com is our website. And when you go to our website and scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a place for CSR, and you can access a CSR eligibility form, or what we call improving lives eligibility form, which a representative from the institution or from the village or from the group can fill to let us know in detail about the project, what the problems they're facing, and how they think we can come in. Because again, that prompts an understanding of what we do. If someone knows that we do water and energy service and energy solutions, then by filling that form, they get to understand really what is required of them as an organization or as an institution, and what can we be able to do for them. So what we do is that we ask a lot of questions regarding the impact that they think this will create, the number of beneficiaries that they think the project wants to benefit, and so we evaluate this project based on those parameters and understand where we think that where we think impact is most will most be felt, where we have where we think we will be benefiting a considerable number of people, and we look at many factors. And this is actually a decision that is not made by one person. These decisions on which projects to handle goes all the way to our more like a specialized executive team level, and is specifically approved, sometimes even by our chairman, because he has to understand that this project is going to benefit this number of people, and this is why we are getting involved.
Yeah. Does the same mindset apply for paid projects? Or for paid projects, you go whenever you're called? Because I think for the legacy that you have, I would imagine that there are projects you say no to, even though they have the potential to bring in money, but you're like, no, this one does not align with it. Or is that something that has...
No, I think our mission is very, very, very clear. Anywhere where we can create impact using a water and energy solution, is it? That's where we operate. We might not build a school. We might not build a hospital. But we will for sure, in that hospital, install a water treatment plant that will give patients clean water to drink. Or we might not build a market, but in that market, say it's a fish market where we anticipate many women are selling fish, or is a source of business. We might bring in solar street lights to make sure that to facilitate that business, that activity. So anything that touches around water and energy, really, that's our business. And we are either, whether it's a paid project or an improving lives project, we will get into it.
And for partnerships, I know you've mentioned the Britain Foundation. But what kind of mindset goes into, we are going to partner with this organization or this individual because they have the resources and have the solution? Like, what goes into that thought process of partnerships?
And it's a lot, Sebastian. Only that how we position ourselves for this partnership is actually, I think, is most important, because they could choose anyone out there, and they could also just buy those things from us, get their own guys to install. But then why do we partner with them? We partner with them because they want that longevity of the project. They know that we have the capacity to support this solution, not just install it and keep it running, but to support it. If anything happens, we are there and we're able to support the installation in case anything happens. And we are also in it for the long term. So,
or even for what would be considered CSR projects, you still support. You don't just install and then...
we don't just install and just forget about it, because then what's the need?
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. So one of the things we do is that normally our improving lives projects have a commitment, sort of. So we will have the benefiting organization or institution also contributing. What that means is there is now skin in the game. Then we're not just doing this thing for free. You've seen our free things sometimes.
Free things are never appreciated.
They feel like, okay, we didn't spend anything on it. So we always encourage organizations. Actually, it was now one of our requirements is that we do 50-50. If the system costs 2 million shillings, we'll do the 50%. And you or other partners can bring in more money to now contribute to the project. And so what we do is that we ensure that there is skin in the game to ensure that that project will go on even beyond us or beyond us getting involved.
Okay. When you talk about the vision and the things that you do, someone might think that this is a smooth sailing thing. They kind of take the challenges or problems perspective and put it aside. But I'd like just to bring it back in and ask, what are some of the challenges you faced when you're improving lives
Mhm.
and kind of even installing your water and energy solutions?
Yeah.
Because I believe
yeah.
the vision has to be strong enough
Yeah.
for those challenges to not be.
Jump over them.
So I've seen the vision, but I'm trying to understand what are some of the problems or the challenges that you face. That you're like, okay, we know these ones exist, but we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, so when you're improving lives and, obviously maybe you're probably doing something in Kibera, close to the city, but you're not doing something in CBD or in South B, or you're actually going down to the village, like this school in Kitui is all the way down there. And one, it's a remote area. Number two, infrastructure might be limited. And number three, there's a limited technical know-how. So it means you have to bring people all the way from Nairobi or from our nearest branch in order for us to do these implementations. And while in a remote area, there's sort of a lot of things that happen. One, it is too far. If something happens, you might not even know that something has happened, if the equipment has failed. Because, even just before the installation, the distance, having to get someone, from either from our nearest outlet or branch or from head office to go and help in the installation services. That is also...
and even hostile communities, I would imagine.
you mentioned that.
Sometimes you go into a community to kind of improve lives, but there are people who benefit from the dysfunction of it. And they kind of feel like, okay, we need to have a stake in it. Is that something?
Yeah, I'll give an example. So there's a time that we were doing a project, I think in northern Kenya, and so when you want to do some equipping and you want to do protection of water resources, you need to do a lot of clearance and all that.
Yes.
So of course our people are not they could, but they need help.
Yes.
For people on the ground to help do those kind of jobs. And so you get a group of young men who you are going to pay to do the clearance.
Yes.
And then someone comes and tells them, don't do the job. Then they just sit. They look at you. So you start wondering,
you kind of have to get permission from the...
Yeah. Do I go and just do this myself? And if I do that, what will happen? Will someone come and bat me? So for sure, a bit of pushback has been there. For some projects, those hostile environments. Once in a while, we experience those. But I also think that initially, before, even after you install the solution, you want to know what's going on. Has it broken down? And in those remote areas, we know our equipment are normally sometimes fitted with the remote monitoring solutions. And what this helps with is ensuring that we are able to know when these solutions have problems.
Without even having to be
without having to be there. And if it's in a remote area and there's limited connectivity, then that's a problem. Another thing that I might want to say is that continuity, because sometimes we implement a project in a community. It's owned by everyone. Yes, we installed it. We've maintained it for a year or so. And then it breaks down. All these things need money to solve. For us to get a pickup from an engineer or a technician, the pickup all the way to the site, it costs money. And so we want a community or a solution that is self-sustaining. If it's a water system in the community and people are benefiting from it, they could actually just be collecting some, setting up a committee to ensure that it's well maintained. People pay some really, really fair amount to get the water, so that if it breaks down, it can be fixed with no problem. But most of those projects, at least we try to ensure that the ones that we do have structures. But when most of the applications we get, it's just one man who is very passionate, right?
About a specific community.
But
if we get a ball here, we're going to be fine. But they forget
there's no one
the
behind it.
sustainability angle.
There's no one saying, what are we going to do to ensure that if these people install this pump for us or this water system for us, it's going to stay like that. We are going to be capable of maintaining it. And so that's also another angle that is also preventing our involvement in helping many more people, because really it is our mission to ensure that we are able to attack the problem of availability of water in communities. And every project we do, we make sure that it's benefiting it's a community water supply system, not just benefiting a few people in a specific area.
When you look at that space in terms of, like we say, technology is just a how of solving these problems. The innovation really is now what covers the ideas, the concepts. What would you say are some of those that exist within DNS without necessarily giving out any proprietary information? Like, what are some of the innovations you're looking to get into that you feel like they're going to touch more and more lives?
Yeah, I think one of the things that that came up more recently is our PayGo business, and PayGo is pay as you go, which is more or less a flexible way of allowing our customers to get access to our solutions in a more flexible and sustainable manner. And what this means is that if a community or a community that was operating on maybe, for example, how do you call it, a hand pump, and they wanted to change this to, let's say, a solar pump, they might not be able to have collected enough money. Let's say it's not CSR, someone just wants to, they want to come together to pay for the solution. They might not be able to afford the full cost of the solution. And so we tell them, fine, if you can't afford that, what you're going to do is you're going to pay like 30% of that money, and then you're going to pay the rest over 2 years as you keep using the solution. Because really, if it's water you don't have, then for you to continue, your livelihoods, you need the water. So we help you get that water on the ground. We help install it, and then you pay. You collect a small amount of money, 30% about, and then pay the rest over a period of time. What that does is it enables communities who would never have been able to afford such systems, such solutions, to have those happening in them. And this is not only just for community-based projects, but also for personal projects. There are many small-scale low-income farmers that need these solutions to feed their families, to take kids to school, to just ensure that they're living their life. But what we do is that we enable them to get these solutions by introducing the pay-as-you-go payment mechanism for them. And this has really helped to change this. The other thing I could talk about is on terms of community water supplies is just the ability to collect funds, because you can't depend on someone putting a guy at a water point to collect cash, and then 30% of it gets lost, then it's taken somewhere else, and 10% gets lost. Then by the time that this money is going to some bank somewhere or some M-Pesa account, it's like 10%.
It's lost a very big chunk.
So we are developing a water sort of ATM kind of mechanism that allows people to get access to water by having like the small chips where they can put money into the chip, and then they go to the water point. They just like put the chip there and they get water, and then they go back home. So this chip can be shared with family members who go to fetch water, and then it's collecting money in the background. So it's very, very clear, and this helps in a lot of things, estimating how much the consumption of water in that region, understanding how are people consuming water, what times do they consume water most, trying to check if there is, for example, the output of this borehole system is not sufficient for the demand that is there. So it really helps do a lot of things when you collect that kind of data, and you're allowing people to collect money, put money in one place. When there's a problem that happens, then there's money to fix that problem. So I would say those are the kind of things that we are doing to just make sure that these solutions are getting to the hands of everyday people.
It even helps with the revenue split, if at all, because you already know this is how much is coming in. And I would also imagine you can tell how much water is being consumed in a community, but you can also narrow it down to a home,
a family,
so that okay, with this number of people, this is how much water we need to be pumping or to be producing. When you think of ESG, what comes to mind? I feel like that topic has been thrown around so many times that everyone has their own definition of it.
No, I think ESG for me is, and I would just borrow from the title of this podcast, good business. Like, do business. Don't step on people's toes while doing business. Right?
That's true.
Don't trample on things while doing business. Don't destroy what has helped you get the business, because you'll need it next time. And maybe not you, maybe some other people are coming after you. So I think for me, ESG is just a framework for you as a business to ensure that we are sort of like protecting our future and ensuring that what we are doing is not hurting others. And by others, I mean people and environment. And how do you do that? You do that by ensuring that not just the employees in the organization are aware of this kind of steps that you're taking, but at the top level, they support this initiative, and that's where governance comes in. What structures does the organization put to ensure that everyone is understands what needs to be done when when it comes to doing business in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically a measurement tool for the good business that you're doing.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. True.
If you look at the DNS principles on ESG, how do they tie into the innovation for good angle?
Yeah, so very, very, very closely, I must say, because again, for Davis and Shirtliff to exist for this many years, it means that we have obviously like passed through several phases of growth and understanding what makes our business work. And we've also understood the things that if we do well, then we will be able to continue into the future and empowering others. One of those things is empowering people.
Yeah.
Making sure that the people that get our products are empowered. So that is like our first angle, number one. We ensure that whatever we do, we don't just do it for the sake of doing it, but is it empowering? Is it improving someone else's life in many angles? Number two is that our employees, their safety, their well-being is really part and parcel of it, because we can't have very, very strong ecosystems, very strong staff, very happy, very passionate staff if they're not well taken care of, if their working environment is not good, if they are not happy, if they are mentally stressed. All these are things that contribute to doing a good business, because that person that is working for you is a person serving the client in front of them, and if they are not happy, that client will never be happy. And so all this is translated all the way from the top, and those priorities are given to everyone. And also, what we're doing is that our business is technology in water and energy. But when we do our planning season, when we're doing our planning season, like I was telling you that at the time when I got into Davis and Shirtliff, there's a lot that is taken into account. A lot regarding the initiative that each business unit is doing to, for example, make sure that certain achievements are being done. If it's security, if it's safety of people, if it is provision of reduction of carbon emissions, each business has the mandate to determine what they want to do in order for them to contribute to our ESG initiative. And these are things that are monitored, are scored, and give business units a score at the end of the day, and they're aware of what they need to do. So I think that the business units that we operate in are very well connected with our ESG initiative, because they are part and parcel of the planning. We tell them, this is what we want to achieve. Then they say, this is what we can do to help. This is what we can do. And they compare notes.
Okay. So from a sustainability angle, and I like that you've mentioned this other kind of internal pillars, depending on the business units. What are some of the sustainability initiatives away from the innovation and tech for good? What are the internal innovations or internal programs do you have that kind of touch onto the sustainability angle? Because if you look at it, it's environment, social, and governance. The tech would most likely fall under the social angle and the impact that you're having. If you look at the governance perspective, you've mentioned having systems and structures and clear definition of roles. But from an environment perspective, what are you doing in that space?
One of the things I must say is that, we are a business that deals in so many types of equipment. And right now, the biggest push for us is that our solar business has become the biggest business in the company. And this is because of our deliberate push for people to adopt solar technologies in pumping, in water treatment. Actually, we now have like even water treatment equipment, reverse osmosis plants that are purely working on solar. In fact, without even a battery. So it's like batteryless solar reverse osmosis systems for purification of water. Before, all those things could only be powered by from the main, so electricity. But we are building up those kind of solutions that are getting there. And so that is the one thing that I would say. So on the sustainability angle, like building products that are, we have a specific push. Like everyone in the company is promoting the use of solar energy.
Or even as you push these other things you're doing, make sure you tie in the solar aspect.
Exactly. So solar for lighting, solar for pumping, solar for water purification. So those three things are the major ones. And so you're pushing solar as a solution to as more like a a strategic objective. The other thing that we're doing is we understand that some of the products that we sell contribute directly to carbon emissions.
Yeah.
And what we are doing to negate or sort of solve that is by countering, by offering alternatives for those solutions. For example, we recently introduced from petrol pumps. We've introduced pumps that can work with LPG.
Yeah.
That is still emitting carbon, but it's on a reduced level. And like now, the push for solar is really one of the biggest things. We are solarizing boreholes that were initially being run by generators, ensuring
like projects you installed initially.
Okay. Yeah. So our engineers are going there telling them, but there you have a new solution for you. Instead of having this generator here or to be powering this solution, if in the place where there are no grid, we actually solarize those boreholes and sort of those water solutions. One other thing we're doing is financing.
Yeah.
Because finance is a very big blocker to access to this sustainable solutions and mostly innovative solutions.
Yeah, the initial bit is actually super expensive.
Very hard. Yeah, big blocker. And what we're doing is we have set up a special purpose vehicle called Delipa Financing Limited, whose main role...
It's called?
Delipa Financing Limited.
Delipa.
Yeah, Delipa Financing Limited. And the role of that...
Delipa.
Oh, yeah, Delipa. Day from Davis and Shirtliff, and then... Or Dayliff, and then Lipa, pay.
Okay.
So this is the one that is running with the PayGo project I was telling you about.
Okay.
Because what it enables Davis and Shirtliff to offer a product to Sebastian, and then Delipa pays for that product, and then Sebastian pays Delipa over a period of time.
Okay.
And what that does, like I mentioned, is enabling access for these solutions that would will go ahead in saving time, saving effort, making sure that customers are getting like continuous products. So this vehicle is meant to finance not just DNS products. Actually, in the large scheme of things, we are looking at it as we are building an organization to power financing for any sustainable product by any person in Africa.
Okay.
So if any person or
like
any
a new vertical that DNS is getting.
Exactly. Okay. More or less. If any person is not able to access a solution that we think will benefit their life and is a sustainable solution, we are building Delipa Finance to be able to be capable of financing those kind of things. So of course, we are starting with our own products within the organization.
Yeah. It also gives you a good sandbox to see what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. So that as we spread our wings, then we know what to touch and what not to touch.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think those are probably the three things that we are doing. Okay. One thing I might mention is that we are very now cognizant about our carbon footprint as an organization, and we are really trying to look at that from all the angles, all the way from our transportation, our fleet, to our activities that take place in our workshops, to even our supply chain as well. So we are really like ensuring that we are doing a very, very deep scrutiny of what we do. Right now, we're in the process of registering a carbon project for us to enable us to capture, how our equipment, the things that we sell, the equipment are helping in carbon emission reduction, or preventing carbon emission. Like if someone would have maybe
prevention and mitigation.
If someone would have bought a petrol pump, they can buy a solar pump, and we are measuring that to ensure that we also clearly see those steps towards that success.
That takes you beyond scope one of what your impact is. Yeah. As we wrap up, if we look at the landscape of organizations in Africa, what would be your piece of advice? Because I would imagine your solutions are not just for individuals, they're also for other businesses.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to businesses in regards to them adapting to innovation tech, especially for good? Yeah.
The first thing I would say is that these things are big investments. They cost money to even do these kind of things.
Yeah.
But businesses must not look at them as expenses. Businesses must look at them as investment into their own future.
Yeah.
Not just the future of the people they benefit, but the future of the company itself. Because if you build a populace that is aware, that is safe, and that is healthy, then these are the same people who will come back and save you when time comes on a rainy day. The second thing I might tell business out there is that you can never do this in alone. Like I've mentioned, we've been working with Britain Foundation and many other organizations out there to just ensure that we are working together to achieve certain objectives. So you can never do these things alone. And you, as an organization, you cannot provide an all-round solution.
Sure.
So someone provides X, you provide Y, someone provides Z, and you empower a community together.
Yeah.
So looking out for partners whose visions align with yours is really a key step in, for someone who wants to expand their capacity in doing business for good, or innovating sustainable solutions and empowering communities. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for making the time and having this conversation. I hope we're gonna maybe next time come and see, physically see the kind of projects that you're doing, and maybe highlight some of the products that you have, and kind of just establish, like you said, partnerships are important. We want to shed more light on the work that different organizations are doing. And thank you so much. Maybe if you have kitu ya kuambia watu huko nyumbani, tuma salamu.
No. I think I'm very passionate about my work at Davis and Shirtliff, and I just want to applaud every person in my team specifically, the Pego team, all the people in the team, all the way from our field officers working very hard to create demand in the field, Valerie Gideon, Keke, Milton, Irene, Anne, on the ground, Patrick. They actually are taking the market by storm, and these guys do a really good job. And of course, their leader, Maureen, who is helping them to coordinate their efforts. Sharon has been very, very helpful in coordinating our efforts, working with the branches to just make sure that everything is okay. And a very able guy called Collins, is very hands-on. He once went to a site and found out that something wasn't working. He just said, "I'll do this."
He figured it out.
I figured it out. And Andrew, of course, and Effie really helps a lot with. Effie actually does most of the things in daily, but so Effie really is very, very influential. And I must say that Lydia, who is now leading our ESG and partnerships department, is also very, very hands-on with this ESG stuff. She has all the.
She's so 100%.
She has a very strong background in ESG, and she's doing that for her masters as well. So it's very interesting. I must say out of thank you to Noor, who was leading our Improving Lives initiative before. That has now been taken over by Lydia. And now we just now working together to formulate this sustainability division, and with the support of our CEO George Mbugwa, and the very, very, very unwavering support and patience by our chairman, Mr. Alec Davis. I think it's really good to work with people like that. And
all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for watching. This has been another episode of the Good Business Africa podcast. Ensure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. And if you have any questions for Brian, we're going to leave a link to DNS website. He mentioned it, but we're going to just put a link. Go check out the amazing work they're doing. And we'll see you in the next one.